Hello, friends! Here we are again! CleriCon! These next two episodes will follow the adventures of the players who signed up for the Mage's Musings CleriCon tables. For those not in the know, our friend and colleague, the Dungeon Minister, an avid enthusiast of old-school gaming, decided to set up a mini-con devoted to the task. In 2023, he reached out to me and several others, asking if we'd like to participate. Of course, we at Mage's Musings enthusiastically jumped aboard. It was tons of fun, and we repeated in 2024. Mage's Musings ran 2 tables this year, populated with a mix of new and returning players. The game is Old School Essentials, and as is our fashion, shared a continuity with the ongoing Old School Essentials campaign. So, without further ado, let's review and recap CleriCon 2024, session number 1. Roll the opener!
Yay, CleriCon! Woo! I really like it.
As always, the action is recreated using the order of the stick, monster for every season, cutout minis. And note to players that the minis used in the recaps may differ from what you had at the table. Today's players! And note, for privacy, some players opt to use aliases instead of their real names. Catherine returns from last year as Seraphina, neutral druid, level 4. Dungeon Minister's young lad Touchberry returns from last year as Joe, lawful cleric of Elona, level 3. Claude returns from last year as Burr, neutral gnome, level 3. And joining them for the first time are Halakar as Cleone, lawful ranger, level 2. And of course...
Hello, I'm John, the old geek, and I'm playing Currant Cake Bumblestump, the sweet Bumblestump, neutral halfling, level 3.
Prior to the session, each player got to draw a rumor from the hat to help them get started. Each rumor is designed to be a key clue that will lead the players to their quarry, with 1 or 2 false leads thrown in for good measure. Shh. Currant Cake Bumblestump has been at the keep on the Borderlands for 3 days now. His mission was to get here in advance for some preemptive investigation, but a surprise reunion with his cousin Onion Buns meant more feasting than investigating. He is part of a mercenary company that is seeking to cash in on the reward for the capture of Oliver of Hom, the dastardly villain who kidnapped Lady Sylvia a year prior. The lady was rescued, but Oliver of Hom escaped and is still at large. Information that he'd returned to the frontier for some unknown purpose prompted the company to follow. The rest of the company arrives: Burr, Seraphina, Cleone, and Joe. Joe's younger brother was also expected to arrive, but is instead battling a bout of the plague. Burr, Seraphina, and Joe were part of the group that rescued Lady Sylvia a year ago, so they have unfinished business with Oliver of Hom. They set to work, comparing notes and information. Currant Cake speaks of the work he has already done in advance of their arrival, boasting about his role in a battle against hobgoblins where he slew 30 himself. The rest of the group is suspicious about that number, especially as it seems to change with every retelling, until Joe finally calls him out on it. They begin looking for extra muscle from available retainers at the keep. A percentage roll indicates that a leveled NPC is available, and they meet Aaron, a self-described specialist who demands 25% of any reward or spoils for his services. They negotiate and bring him down to an equal share. Aaron tells the team about local news, including a wealthy merchant named Caldwell who's seeking people to cleanse his dungeon. Aaron laughs at the pathetic series of bad luck Caldwell has had. This is a familiar name and story to Burr and Seraphina, as they had dealings with Caldwell a year ago when they were first here. They all agree to contact Caldwell as he's their best lead, especially since pre-generated rumors hint that Oliver and Caldwell have some connection. These being among the rumors from the hat each player got to pick before starting. During Burr's visit to Caldwell, Caldwell denies any direct connection to Oliver, but does confirm that he has a connection to Bolg the Slaver, who is a known associate of Oliver. It's mentioned that Bolg is a follower of the orc god Grumsh. At one point during the role-playing at the Keep, there's a cameo appearance by none other than campaign regular Senec Christ, and he vehemently tells the group that it would be in their interests to stock up on wolfsbane. This surprise cameo comes about as Scott, who plays Senec, was also attending CleriCon promoting his gaming company, BS Games, and he popped over to say hello. While Burr is speaking with Caldwell, Serafina mingles with locals to find information, and learns from Javier's two sons that the Shrine of Ilona was restored and men are fortifying it. Also, that they have heard that Oliver of Hom is or was a follower of Ilona at one time. As she tries to press the kids for more information, Javier calls the boys away. She returns to the group. Seeing the Grumpsh connection to Bolg and that Oliver had used the Temple of Grumpsh last year as his hideout, the team decides to see if Oliver has returned to that location. Burr, Serafina, and Joe were there last year and remember the way, so finding a guide isn't necessary, especially with both Cleon and Serafina's pathfinding skills. Arriving at the massive tree and hill that marks the entry to the Temple of Grumpsh, Burr uses his gnomish ability to speak with burrowing animals and talks to a squirrel that confirms that not men live in the hole and come out to hunt regularly. Not men being a common translation for demi-humans and humanoids when the speak with animals spell is employed. Cleon tracks around the area, confirming that many human-sized creatures come in and out of the cave regularly, in formation. The most recent movement indicates that they went into the passage. The team makes a plan to ambush the next group at night and take a prisoner to interrogate. They find a spot along the regular route that the tracks take. Then they create a fire trap with oil, dry wood, and leaves. Then they wait. In the evening, many orcs emerge, singing a marching song. As they approach the trap, a surprise roll is made, and they stop, having spotted something amiss. Since they are paused, Currant Cake emerges from his hiding spot and tries to taunt them into rushing forth into the trap, but they do not seem to speak common. His taunts are met with laughter and mocking in the orc tongue, but none of the characters speak orc. After a few moments, the group decides to just attack the orcs with missile fire while Burr casts a chromatic orb to ignite the trap. The flames kill the orc in front. The trap and death of an orc prompt morale, which fails spectacularly with a roll of 12, and the orcs bug out. The team kills 3 more with ranged attacks before the orcs flee, at which point evasion and pursuit rules are used. Currant Cake and Aaron opt to stay back, while the rest of the team chases the orcs to the entry cavern for the Temple of Grumpsh. The orcs manage to get into the cover, though not before the team causes some more injury from range, including to the orc leader, but they score no more kills. Currant Cake and Aaron loot the dead while the others are gone, finding 52 silver, but dividing it between them and agreeing to claim to the others that they only found 10. Cleon tracks forward, following the established trail. The group realizes that the orcs were heading to the old Watchtower. They head in that direction, arriving at the tower where Burr scouts forward alone. He hears orc voices, then reports back. Joe casts a spell of silence on a rock, and they creep forward together under the cover of darkness and in complete silence. The team sneaks up upon 4 orcs around a campfire, tucked into the hollow ruin of the old Watchtower, the whole east wall having long since collapsed. Due to the silence spell, they can't hear anything. Cleon makes hand gestures to the others, ordering an attack. Given the extremely favorable situation for the group, the DM rules there's a 1 in 5 chance of surprise on a d6. Surprise is rolled and the orcs get a 6. Ha! The group has initiative and the group attacks, but missing on every single strike. Sometimes players just can't catch a break. Am I right? Joe tosses the silence rock into the orcs, hoping to keep them quiet, but he throws too hard and overshoots. But at least the team can communicate now. The fight is on. The battle rages, but the orcs are no match for a team like this. In the heat of battle, however, the team forgets that they are attempting to capture an orc for interrogation and fight for the kill, felling 2 orcs. Still, it seems like the dice try and help them. Morale is rolled after the first 2 orcs fall, and a failed morale would have seen the orcs surrender, but initiative goes to the players, and they kill the orcs first in their bloodlust. They take the time to search the crumbling watchtower. There is a ladder to the upper levels which are decayed, but there is a restored platform at the very top, complete with a winch and pulley. Cleon climbs up, and topples the pulley over the side, then returns to the group. Surmising that the orcs had a purpose here, they use the camp themselves and plan to lay a trap for any more orcs arriving tomorrow. The next day, Cleon takes position at the top of the tower to watch. The DM makes the usual encounter check, and a most interesting creature is rolled completely unexpectedly. In the distance, Cleon sees a dragon on the horizon, lying closer. He yells to the group to hide. The group wastes no time dispersing into the woods. Joe casts silence again and hides to watch. The dragon lands in the clearing, then roars to the sky and waits. Shortly thereafter, the sound of an orc marching song is heard. The group waits and watches as 24 orcs arrive, led by the now injured orc leader they battled last night. They bring tribute of chests and sacks of treasure to the dragon, who clutches it and flies off. The orcs retreat. The group discusses what they have seen and decides that this is important information that should be reported to the keep authorities. Cleon suggests that they search around before departing, specifically the remnants of the Watchtower floor. They do indeed find an old trapdoor, long since covered over with dirt and foliage. They pull it up, breaking the door in two in the process, but revealing a worked stone well with bracketed ladder, in good shape no less. Seraphina casts Detect Danger, and after detecting none, they prepare to descend just to scout. Cleon lights a torch and drops it down about 60 feet before clattering to the bottom. Seraphina climbs down when her spell doesn't detect any threat. At the bottom, they find a massive pair of doors, marked with the word Quasqueton. The doors are locked, and Aaron is unable to open them with his picks. Attempts to force them also fail, so Burr uses his chromatic orb to superheat the lock, hoping that it might weaken the integrity. The spell offering a -2 saving throw effect, which the DM rules will apply to the structural integrity roll. But alas, further attempts to batter the door down fail, and the team withdraws up the ladder and returns to the keep, as the allotted time for the session is coming to a close. They were unable to track down Oliver of Hom, but report everything they've learned to the keep guards, the dragon, which was already known, the entrance to Quasqueton, and the orc numbers at the Temple of Grumpsh. And thus, Session 1 of CleriCon 2024 concludes. Well, friends, that was interesting. Good to see some familiar faces back from last year. It really gives the CleriCon adventures a sense of continuity. This team was on the right track, but in their bloodlust killed the potential source of information that may have led them where they want to go. The orcs did have some info, not necessarily a direct route, but clues, which combined with information they already possessed may have just been enough. But Oliver of Hom remains at large. Since they were returning players, the DM gave them the option of reprising their previous character with a 1-level advancement. New players got to choose from a stack of pre-generated options. There were no deaths this time around, but as before, any player whose character died would take the top character from the shuffle of pre-gens, and their entrance would be contrived, as is our fashion. The game plan was simple. The game shares continuity with the ongoing OSE campaign. Information in the existing recaps are considered public knowledge, so players familiar with the ongoing events don't have to feign ignorance. From a DM perspective, learning from the missteps last year, the information and clues had been better structured and laid out. Every player got some starting information via a slip of paper, something their character had heard prior to the game session starting. After that, the players are in the driver's seat, so to speak. The path to success was laid out, but not a foregone conclusion. Failure is on the table, and the rest is on them. They didn't end up finding Oliver, but their actions will have an effect on the ongoing campaign. They discovered one of the entrances to Quasqueton. Quasqueton is, of course, the name of the lost dungeon from the module B1, In Search of the Unknown. This was seeded into the campaign from the very start, and even hinted at early on, but no one saw fit to follow up and thus remained undiscovered. But now, it's out in the open. I wonder if any subsequent groups will follow up. Further to this, it is now known that a tribe of orcs has restored the Temple of Grumpsh and resides there, and they are the ones giving the tribute to the dragon. This site was seen by none other than Onion Buns many sessions ago, but I'm sure the reminder will undoubtedly have ramifications going forward. And thus we conclude the first session of CleriCon 2024. Oliver of Hom is still at large, but a whole new table of players awaits for Session 2. How will they fare? Tune in to find out. And I shall see you then, my friends.